All right, everybody, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company, heard each and every Monday through Friday, noon till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is a topic-driven show. We do current events, anything that's trending, kind of stuff people are talking about. That's what we cover here on this show. Then we double back. We do a nighttime show as well. You can join us at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for what we like to call the Pugs and Company Pillow Talk edition. That's more loose. That's more free. That's more, doesn't really matter what we're talking about. In fact, programming note, won't be doing a show tonight. There's not going to be a Pillow Talk edition tonight. I have previously, I have a previous engagement. That's what we'll say that. It's a previous engagement that I must tend to. Kid related. Okay, it's also Chicago Bears related. Look, we used to start the show a half hour late when we did the show at 10 o'clock. We used to start the show regularly at 10:30 instead of 10 o'clock, as I'm talking about the Pillow Talk edition. And we used to do this because, on Mondays and Thursdays for football, Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays, actually, for football. And that got to be such a problem that I said, you know what, look, let's just not do that anymore. I hate doing these short shows just because we're thinking people are watching Jacksonville take on Cleveland. It's like nobody cares about that. I don't care about that. So we started out by making exceptions. The exceptions were any of the teams that are important to the people directly associated with this show. And that was the Chicago Bears for me, the Buffalo Bills for Sunglasses /E the Artist /Amel, and then Dallas Cowboys. So the only time we will continue to delay the show, sorry, a little distracted by something, I can get past it because I'm a professional. We will only delay the show on nights where those three teams are playing, okay? Bears, Bills, and Cowboys, of course, obviously Cowboys. Now tonight, normally, like we start at 9 o'clock, Bears are playing on Monday Night Football. And my kid and I, we have this thing that we like to do when we're not together for games. We like to watch each other. We do it on, what do they call it? The FaceTime or whatever. So we watch the game together on FaceTime. He was with me all weekend. He went home and he's like, so are we going to watch the Bears game? Yes, we'll do that. So no, long story short, no Pillow Talk tonight. I hope you understand. I appreciate these little things that we get. It'll just be honest, the Bears don't play a lot, Actually, they do. I think they play 3 or 4 times on prime time at night. But this will be the second one, so we'll worry about the other ones down the road. We got a couple Bills games and certainly more Cowboy games coming along as well. Okay, and on that programming note, let's bring in the one, the only. Holy cow, it is E the Artist, Amel, joining us at night, of course. He assumes the character Sunglasses. But boy, you know what? I'm just going to start calling you Jet Set Johnny. You're Mr. Jet Set lately. You're just going all over. Every night of the week, this kid, he's like an 18-year-old with a new girlfriend. Every night of the week, he's out partying it up. Rolling Stones. Okay, so there's nothing else other than Rolling Stones. And then last night, there was
the Toadies.
The Toadies concert that you went to. Now, good concert? Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had fun. I recognized all 4 of the Toady songs that I knew. They played them.
Yeah, but your wife is from Fort Worth, so she's probably got the whole catalog in her head.
Yeah, she definitely had more of a Toadies catalog than I did, for sure.
Older crowd? Well, I mean, not older than you and I are like the oldest in the crowd whenever we go anywhere. That's because,
right. I mean, it was tough to say older.
But like a late 30s, early 40s crowd?
Yeah, I would say that. Because not many 20-year-olds.
The Toadies broke big nationally when I was in my early 20s. And they're like my age. Well, actually, I think they're maybe a year or 2 older than me. But it seems that they really connected to the generation just behind me. And by that, I'm talking about like James's generation. James is in his early 40s. Those people in Texas are insane for the Toadies. It's like they were only 12 when they had hits on the radio, in the mid 90s.
Yeah, high school is what my wife said. It was all her high school days.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's it. I guess they were big. So good time, big crowd. How was it? How was the crowd?
It was I mean, for the used to be Bomb Factory, now the factory, it was crowded. Floor was full, side, aisles where we were sitting, they were full. I wouldn't say it was packed to max, but it was
Probably would have been if it was a Friday night.
yeah, it was seven, I would say 7/8 full, something like that.
Okay.
The thing that was interesting was they had so many band, like they had four different band, like three bands before you got to the Toadies,
Well, I know Horton Heat. That's a big band. What
right?
else?
And then there was another one called Nashville Pussy. And then another one that we didn't get to see. I think it was like the Draculas or something. I don't know, some other open, but four different bands. Reverend Horton Heat played for quite a while.
Yeah, they're also really big locally and rarely play.
Mm-hmm.
I got the hiccups all of a sudden.
Yeah, I tried to call in, but I think when I called, you guys had just stopped the show.
Yeah, you called it like 10:15. We had ended the show about 10:10. I had the kid, and he needed to go to bed, and I didn't. I guess I'm loud doing the show. Like if you were trying to sleep in the other room, and I'm in here. But by the time I ended the show at 10:15, kid was already asleep. I got the hiccups. This is bad. This may cause me to cancel the show, or at least delay the show.
What's up with the new graphic on the screen?
Ed getting fancy.
Ah.
Now, when you called me at 10:15 last night, you were not drunk.
Yeah.
You were rather subdued. I thought the show was over.
No, it hadn't even Toadies hadn't even gotten on stage yet.
What
I think
time
it was
did you
like
get
about
home?
10:30. I think I got home maybe 12:31.
Okay. All right. And then you
Something
had to
like
wake
that.
up for carpool. You woke up early enough to call me at 6:45 to make sure I was up, which I appreciate. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Made sure you were up, and you were up.
This is killing. Yeah, I've been up for a little bit. I'm hypersensitive to, I don't like to break my kid when I return him home.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of having him through the entire weekend and taking him to school on Monday morning. So I don't want to screw that up. I want to make sure that goes off without a hitch every day. And today we were early, like a half hour early. I dropped off at school a half hour. He's like, it's fine. And I just know he ate his lunch. These hiccups are killing me. Go ahead, talk about something. Let me work on this.
Well, what are you getting hiccups from?
I don't know. They just came out of nowhere.
Scare yourself. That's what you need to do. You just go 1, 2, 3. I don't know. That's always been the thing. I don't know how to get rid of hiccups. They just kind of come and then they go away.
I'm pretty good at it. I learned a couple of techniques in broadcast school. But the problem with the techniques is they require you to be quiet.
Well,
Talk about your Bills.
nothing to talk about there. It was awful.
Talk about whatever. Talk about the Cowboys. Just give me about
Cowboys were awful. Bills were awful. Los Angeles Rams were awful. Just thinking of teams that really played awful.
Bad day for sports bettors. Bad day for fantasy.
Yeah, it was just a bad day all around.
I think I beat it. I think I got it. I'm telling you, there's a way to do it. I could teach you, but hiccups are really only a problem if you talk for a living, and then have to go on it. So the only reason to really learn how to defeat your hiccups is if, a situation like this. But the minute I sign on, I start hiccuping. It's crazy. Now, hold on. Now, watch me screw it up here. I'll take a drink. Just bear with me, folks. We'll get it. And then, boy, oh boy, do I have a jam-packed show for you today. Hi, Steve. Steve Eaton. What's up? What's up?
I really don't know how to help you with this,
No, you can't. Nobody can. It's all about mind, and it's all about you syncing your mind with your breathing pattern, because that's all hiccups are a disruption in the air that you're taking in and expelling. That's all they are. It's a muscle reflex. It's like a tickle. And I'm good. All right. It is the high noon broadcast. Today is the 8th of November, the, 313th day of the year. How many days until the end of the year? Well, 53. There's 53 left. You can do the math easy. It's 313 plus 53, and that comes out to, I don't know, 365. Apparently, that's how many days in a year. That would make how many days until Christmas? 47, 46, something like that. I don't know. It's coming. Christmas is coming. Let's talk about what kind of day today is. Do you know that today is National STEM Day? National STEM Day here in America. STEM, of course, the teaching, education of STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Science, technology, engineering, and math. All the things that we here in America are falling behind the rest of the world in. STEM, the important stuff.
I thought it was like stems and seeds.
Yeah, no. That's 420. 420 is another kind of STEM day. I was never a STEM scholar, never really interested in the science, tech, engineering, or math. I'm more of a humanities person. I enjoy the histories, the philosophies, the arts, so whatever's your bag, STEM or humanities. Let's see here. What else is today? Oh, today is in line with STEM Day. Today is National Parents as Teachers Day. It means everybody
homeschooling.
No, everybody's just encouraged to teach their kid one thing, which, judging from the modern state of Americans, that could be scary. That could be, who knows what. All right, kid, come here. I want to teach you one thing today. Lock your doors.
Version of homeschooling.
Let's see here. What else is today? Oh, today is National Cappuccino Day. Is cappuccino the little one? Or is that espresso? I don't know. What's the difference between cappuccino and espresso?
I think espresso's the little one.
It's espresso. Don't say espresso. That's how espresso, because it's fast. I always say that too, and I used to get corrected by someone.
Well, I think that's
espresso.
I think that's the little tiny cup.
Espresso is the tiny cup.
Mm-hmm. I think cappuccino's the one that you kind of mix the whole thing, a little bigger.
Okay, yeah, because that would be the play on the frappuccino, which is like a jazzy version of coffee. It is also, for all you bartenders out there, National Harvey Wallbanger Day, or as we used to call it in the bartending business, Dago screwdrivers. That's what a Harvey Wallbanger is. Do you know what's in a Harvey Wallbanger? I gave you half of it by calling it a screwdriver.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's probably vodka, orange juice, and maybe a little bit of amaretto.
Yeah, it's 3 parts vodka, 6 parts orange juice, and 1 part Galliano. You know,
Galliano. Okay.
So you're an Italian, you know about that. Galliano are those fancy bottles that you see on the back of the bar, that
real tall ones.
Tall, yellow, thin, tall bottles. You take you do 3 vodkas, 6 orange juice. And notice I did orange juice out of the gun, and then you go and you get the Galliano, and you just do 1 part Galliano. So happy Harvey Wallbanger Day, or as we called it at Finley Dunn's, a Dago screwdriver. That's how we actually listed it, because it was actually a good drink and people liked it when they had it. But Harvey Wallbanger, back when I was tending bar 25 years ago, that was one of those like retro 50s and 60s cocktails weren't a thing yet, and they were just seemed. Speaking of, you were knocking back old fashions the other day, weren't you?
I was.
You were, yeah. So you're into the whole retro hipster, old school drink kind of a thing.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the places now have old fashions back on the menu.
Now, my grandfather used to drink old fashions. That's all he drank, and he would put down like 10 in the afternoon. Just after working at the dairy, we'd go to the bar. Oh yeah, well, he's an Irishman. He would sit there and he'd argue with people, and he would just not. Actually, he didn't argue with people. He was a pretty gregarious guy, but he'd always get into like these long conversations, and just I'd sit there. I'd be sucking back cokes for free. Give me a bunch of quarters for the video game. Which
Did you
back
get
then,
the maraschino cherry in your Coke?
sometimes I would get fancy Coke cocktails, which was Coke with cherry juice, and then they'd put like a cherry and maybe like a slice of orange or something in there. Man, I would drink probably 10, 12 of those a day. Keep up with Grandpa. Grandpa just knocking back the old. He would drink a CC old fashioned, no sugar, which I think is just Canadian Club.
Yeah, Canadian Club, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, see, my grandfather, he didn't drink, nor my dad really neither. But I would be around the bar a lot because at the bowling alley, they had a bar.
Yeah, it's probably best that you don't drink if you own a bar.
And I would go behind the bar, and then I would see the cherries, and I'd eat them.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd stick the stems back in the cup. And then Eddie, the bartender, he would always get mad because he'd go to reach in there and there'd be no cherries.
But you were the
Just
boss.
stems.
So what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they used to call me Shape Up or Ship Out. That was my nickname. Shape Up.
All right. What do you say? We get into a moment of joy, and then we'll get rolling on all the things that are trending. This one I love. I love this moment of joy. I love anything that involves kids just being happy. Can you see it? Are you sharing it?
I can see it.
Okay. This little girl melts my freaking heart. First of all, she's incredibly talented. She's playing a very complicated bass line, but look at her smile. You tell me you can't focus on this kid's smile and be brought joy. I tell you that. You tell me that. I tell you, you are dead inside. Look at her. Look at this kid's smile. Oh, she's about to do a very difficult bass run. Big ears, jacked up teeth because she's little. She's only 9. Look at this. She can go all the way up and down. Look at that smile.
All right.
Oh, come on. That is awesome. What a little player. Now, your kid goes to that School of Rock stuff, right? So you probably have seen little kids that can.
Yeah, there's some kids in there that can really play.
Yeah, she was cute. All right, speaking of that, trending today, we got some cool things trending today. Usually on Mondays, it's all Overreaction Monday, which is a Pat McAfee show trend that just dominates on Mondays. That's where fans of teams that lost are overreacting. Getting a little bit of that around here today. I was up early enough to listen to sports morning radio from Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh boy! On Friday is Super Bowl bound, and then on Monday it's we need to start Cooper Rush. It was not good. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was not. You're right. It was not good.
My kid took the game so hard that it literally put him to sleep. He was so emotional. My kid doesn't process emotions well. Sports emotions. Well, you've seen the way he acts when his own team loses or when he gets beat. He rips helmets off and throws tantrums. We're working on that. We are seriously working on that. But boy, oh boy, the first half of the Cowboys game yesterday just wrecked him. He was I told him to go in the other room and watch the game. I was watching it in one room. We were watching it together. And then he was being such a little jerk. I said, I'm not watching this game with you anymore. You are no fun. You are a bad sport. And then, of course, we're screaming at each other. And then he gets all emotional. And then he's in the other room and the door is closed. And I still hear him screaming, come on, Dak! What the hell? His problem was with Dak. Apparently, Dak was not throwing good balls yesterday. He was very upset with Dak's accuracy. It's so bad that by about halftime, sound asleep. You're like, oh, your kid woke him up.
Right.
He was in a really bad mood. Little Dom comes over looking for a friend to play with. He comes stomping up the steps. I'm in the one room and I hear at the door, and I'm like, I know what it is. It's Dom. Dom's the only one who comes over. You're like, Mason, come out, play, right? And then Dom knocks again. So now I'm like, Mason, answer the door. And I come out here and I see him. He's in the beanbag. He's got this big beanbag chair that he likes to lay. Well, you're familiar with the beanbag chair. And he's got his blankets. He's got the laptop that he's watching the game on the floor. And he is just out cold. And I go, I think Dom is here. Go invite him in. And Mason walks to the door and he opens the door and Dom goes, hey, you want to come over and play Red Dead Redemption? And he goes, I'm sleeping, man. And he slams the door. And I'm like, oh, and that caused a big fight. That caused a huge fight. I'm like, you cannot treat your friends that way. He's like, I was sleeping. I go, it doesn't matter. I go, you got to be a human being to people. That kid came all the way over here to play with you, and that's how you send him away? And then
they ended up in the pool at some point yesterday.
No, did they?
Yeah, well, I know Dominic did. He got his swim trunks and his shirt on, and he jumped in.
Yes. Okay, that was it. Because Mason came running up here laughing, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Because I heard him yelling in the backyard. And I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Dom's trying to throw me in the pool. Dom thinks he can throw me in the pool. He's a big boy, but he ain't bigger than me." I'm like, so I guess Dom was in the pool and he was trying to throw Mason.
Oh, all right. I thought Mason, they had made some deal they were going to go in the pool, but
Probably.
Yeah.
My son is big on making deals and then going back on them when it suits him. Oh, that's his entire MO. If in the moment it suits him to make a deal to get his end of it, oh yeah. Oh, and then he'll
I think that's what happened then, because Dominic did get in. But I didn't, now that I think about it, I didn't see Mason in there.
No, he wasn't wet. That's why I said, really? They got in the pool? And then I remembered he tried to throw me in. Big boy thinks he could throw me in. I'm like, come on, cut it out.
Like about 3 grades apart.
Yeah. It is nice that they, at least on my kids' end, I don't know. They used to fight all the time, but now my kid genuinely likes Dom. He's like actually said as much. But
yeah, no, they get along fine now. They're just going through that, kind of.
God, Saturday night watching the fight. My kid had a Rockstar energy drink at like 7:30. And we're trying to watch the fights down there at the big house of the 1%er compound. And these kids were just chasing each other around the house like a couple of sugar addicted banshees. It was just, I don't know how you do it. You were just sitting in the chair, totally zoning it all out. And I'm screaming at him. And I don't like to scream at your kid, but when it gets to that point, it's like, both of you, knock it off. It was driving me. And poor Ed, who's living there in the west wing of the house. He was looking at it like, this is how you guys live? Like, yeah, this is a guy house. This is what the boys do. They get nuts. Howdy, Dustin. You got nothing. I mean, you sat there nice and calm.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought you were talking to Dustin. I didn't know. Yeah, no, I did sit there nice and calm. I don't, I mean, kind of got to let it pass. And then Mason passed out.
Yeah, well, that was the crash. That was the having a Rockstar energy drink, a little bit later than he should have. And, he bought 2 because we did the Katy Trail. And he's like, oh, I need something. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. You can have one. You just did a really nice workout. You're probably going to. And then he saved the other one and he drank it just before we did the fight thing. And then he crashed.
Yeah.
That is the good thing about those. You're not supposed to give your kids that stuff. I understand that. My kid claims he drinks them all the time. Hand to God, my kid claims a lot of stuff that I don't think is true. Just like I'm the substitute teacher. You know what I mean?
Right. You definitely get that treatment for sure.
He tells me last night. He goes. I go. I need you in bed I want you to be in bed by 10 o'clock. That's why I was going to do the show from 9 to 10. I go, I need you to be in bed by 10 o'clock. Oh, that started a huge fight. I don't go to bed till 11 on school nights. I don't see why the rules need to change. Like he was really dug into this argument. So we had to drop back at his house today before I took him to school to drop his bike off because he brought his bike here. And I see his mom. I go, what time's he going to bed on school nights? She goes, 10 o'clock. I go, he told me 11 and he was dug in, boy. He was not going to waver off that argument. And I'm like, there's no way your mom, lost my, what the heck? Just seemed to have lost my camera. That happens from time to time.
Yeah, you got your voice, just the video locked up for some reason.
All right, let's get into what's trending because there's a whole lot of stuff that's trending and I want to get through a lot of it. On this day, 50 years ago today, Led Zeppelin 4 was released. Led Zeppelin 4. Now, you would have been in the category we used to call, or I used to consider when I was young in formulating my musical tastes back in the 80s. I hated Led Zeppelin. Hated them. Like, I didn't really know anything of them, just hated them because they represented what we called Big Brother rock, like the kind of music that, like, your older brothers would always listen to and yell at you for scratching their albums and stuff like that. And there was so you would be in that Big Brother category. How big of a player was Led Zeppelin in your formative years?
Oh, they were big. Yep, Led Zeppelin was a big band. A lot of people liked them.
Well, but I mean, were you would you be driving around 16 years old in your Camaro or whatever you had cranking? It's been a long time since I rock and roll.
Yep, they were a band for sure on my 8-track. I had the 8-track.
I was such a dumb music kid. I mean, I was an arrogant, ignorant music kid. Like, I was so arrogant about the music that I liked. Like, if it was my stuff, then it was the greatest stuff ever. And anything that didn't fit into my generation, anything that wasn't new, anything that wasn't released between 79 and 85 was just, either old man, stupid rock, stoner music. Zeppelin was like stoner music. Oh, you stoners, but you stoner music. I was so stupid. I hated Led Zeppelin. I hated Pink Floyd. I hated The Who. I mean, these were all bands that I categorized.
I wasn't as big on The Who. I mean, there was a couple songs that I liked, but a lot of people liked The Who. I didn't like The Who so much.
All of those bands are bands that once I became a grown up, like a fully formed, confident in my tastes and my opinions, like I hate myself for some of the crap that I said about Led Zeppelin. Today, the 50th anniversary of Led Zeppelin 4 being released. That is one of the 5 greatest albums ever released. And I'm the kind of person that didn't even recognize that until I was in my 30s. And I didn't even recognize Pink Floyd until I was in my 30s. And I'm like, man, this is great music. Now, The Who I came about a little bit earlier because a girl I dated was really big into The Who back in the 90s. And then, like, members of The Who, like Pete Townsend, they started to embrace like Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and they'd go on tour with them, and Eddie Vedder would bring out Pete Townsend. And then I got like, oh, okay, so The Who must be cool. And then I became a huge Who fan. I mean, I love The Who now. Did a movie with Roger Daltrey. Don't know if I ever told you about that.
Yeah, you did.
My good friend, Roger Daltrey.
So The Who was, they were popular. Just trying to think of like all of them, Pink Floyd, when Another Brick in the Wall, that was the album that kind of really got everybody behind them. Rush.
Yeah, that was the top album. Another Brick in the Wall. But they had like Dark Side of the Moon before.
Right.
They were.
But I think like Another Brick in the Wall really kind of brought people over to Pink Floyd that weren't there before. Rush, AC/DC, Skynyrd, Seeger, Springsteen, Ted Nugent back then.
Springsteen, never the Nugent, was a big fan of Rush. For some reason, Rush in the 80s for me was cool. I had a BMX bike and my racing number was 2112 for the Rush album.
All right, there you go, the album 2112.
And I had the Permanent Waves poster on my wall for a period of time. I really liked it. I really love Rush now. I still love they're Limelight, Spirit of the Radio. I mean, they're just Rush songs that when they come on, Rush is one of the bands that I've already hipped my son to. Like one of the original groups when I was trying to lay all of this nice basis for my son on music to like. Oh yeah, Rush was Tom Sawyer, Limelight, Spirit of the Radio. Those are songs that me and my kid on road trips we would just crank. And kid can do all the drumming parts, and he'll repeat shit that I said like years ago. Do you know that Neil Peart's one of the greatest drummers of all time? That's right, I do. Where'd you hear that, son?
Copies your taglines from years ago.
I love it. Oh, and the kid was in the chat room last night for a little period of time. Show started at 9:00, and I didn't know what he was doing, but all of a sudden I start to see my chat room handle popping up in the chat room, and I'm not doing anything. So he signed on with my computer, with my YouTube handle, and he was just commenting on stuff in the show. And you know what he was commenting on last night? He just kept saying over and over, "Play some John Hinckley." Play some John. And then he's like rattling off names of songs. I want roses and lace. I want roses and lace.
This long play might be working.
Yeah, no, I told you. Didn't I tell you that I?
No.
Oh yeah, I announced that on the show last night. That's when he started requesting John Hinckley. We were coming back from Dom's football game on Saturday, and he grabs my phone and he starts pulling up Spotify and he starts picking songs, and he put on John Hinckley's "Roses and Lace," and he started listening to it. And I just started laughing. And he's like, "What's so funny?" And I go, "Nothing." I go, "Nothing." He's like, "No, what? What's so funny?" And I go, "All right." I go, "Do you really like this song?" He's like, "Well, you do." You know, he was like looking for me. And
he didn't want to go out there on his own.
No. But I said, "Look, I got to tell you something." I go, John Hinckley is a wonderful singer-songwriter, but he's so much more. And then I told him the backstory. He was like, all right, I appreciate you telling me that. And then he said to me, he goes, "Is that what you and E were talking about when we were watching Silence of the Lambs?" I go, yeah. Because Jodie Foster's in Silence of the Lambs. And E and I made some comment about how that's John Hinckley's girlfriend. And my kid was, so the long play of making my 12-year-old son believe that John Hinckley is a singer-songwriter and not a guy who tried to kill President Reagan, that's off.
It's over.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt I was laughing about it, and he was demanding answers as to why I thought it was so funny. And at that point, I thought, game's over. I may as well let the kid know. So Led Zeppelin 4. Let's see. What is Stairway to Heaven, of course, is the favorite track, I suppose. Rock and roll, I mentioned that. Been a long time since I rock and roll. What else? Can you know anything else from, was it Misty Mountain Hop, I think.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. Walking in the park the other day. Down. That's what I saw.
Right.
That's a good one.
And then there's the one with the guy with the wings on his back, but that's not 4. What album was that?
I don't know. Oh, Black Dog.
Black Dog, yeah.
The way you move, gonna make you sweat, That's a great album, man. That's
all
album.
like 3 minutes of it.
That's just, man, the riffs, that is just, there's some duds though. Like, I'm not a Stairway fan. Like, if Stairway to Heaven comes on, I don't want to hear that. That's like 12 minutes of just musical masturbation. That's just not anything I'm into. All right, congratulations. You've made it to 50 years there, Led Zeppelin. Hope you kids can keep it together. Any of those guys dead? Plant's alive, Page is... Oh, Bonham, of course, is dead.
Mm-hmm.
What about the other guy? Who's the other guy?
I think they said they're not going to tour.
I think it's just... I really do. I think it's just Page and Plant now, which, if we're being honest, it hasn't been Bonham in 40 years anyway, so...
Right. Didn't his son come out and do a
yeah
tour with them?
Yeah, Jason Bonham was played with him at some point, but I don't know if that's a regular thing. I know he did it years ago. I mean, Jason Bonham himself is like an old man now. He's like my age. It's so whatever. But he's definitely a drummer for hire. He plays with a lot of. He's a good drummer in his own right, but it's probably pretty difficult to live down your dad when your dad is Bonzo, one of the highest regarded drummers of all time. Howard Stern is trending today. Have you seen why Howard Stern is trending today?
I have not.
I'll tell you. There's a whole bunch of this falls into the whole where would it be? Well, where's Howie? There we go. This falls into the whole Aaron Rodgers. There's a whole bunch of different. Aaron Rodgers is touring or trending for like 5 different reasons. Howard Stern apparently today on his show, and this was tweeted out by Sirius itself, so I think it's okay to play. Here, let's give this a listen, okay? This is Howard Stern on his show today. This is why he's trending number 1. Howard Stern's take on the entire Aaron Rodgers
I was
situation.
so worked up over the weekend about this fucking Aaron Rodgers of the NFL. I don't even know where to begin with that story. I mean, this fucking guy, I don't watch football. Sorry, I'm not a big fan. I know the guy's a real good football player. That's why they put up with his bullshit. If I ran the NFL,
he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, that he's important to the franchise.
If I was if there was decency in this world, I would throw this guy out of the football league so fast. What he did to his fellow teammates. And, bravo, Terry Bradshaw, for what you said and everyone else who's got half a brain in this country. But this fucking guy, they should throw him out of the league so fast with the guy who crashed his car at 153 miles an hour. And some poor lady was walking her dog, and the dog and the lady burned up in his car because he hit him. And the last words out of her were just screams of pain from the fire.
Mm.
I mean, he's facing 40 years in jail. It should be a life sentence. I mean, he just essentially just killed someone with his car. But he should be thrown out of the league, which he was, I assume. And Aaron Rodgers, come on, dude. Really? That whole bullshit game. Yeah, I have the antibodies. Now, first of all, I don't know where these guys get their information from. They refuse. He at the press conference, he said he got his information from Joe Rogan. With all due respect, Joe Rogan's
Why would you go to Joe Rogan with a medical problem?
Yeah, you got doctors who study in medical school. I don't know what has happened to this country.
All right, there you have it. That's why Howard is trending today.
So did he have that story right and we had it wrong, or did he have it wrong and we had it right?
What are you talking about?
He said the girl was out walking her dog.
Yeah, no, she was. He had it a little bit twisted. She was in her car. Here's how that broke down. She takes her dog, she gets in the car, and then she drives to this park that's near where her boyfriend lives or some other dude. And that's why the dog was with her. She went out to walk the dog in the car and she was heading back home. So they were in the car. Yeah. Howard, yeah, it sounded like he said that she was just like a pedestrian on the street walking.
He said she burned up in his car.
Yeah, he was just, a little bit wrong, but that's why the dog was with her. She was out walking her car.
So she went to a dog park to walk the dog.
Exactly.
He then rear-ended her in her car.
Yeah, as she was coming back from
coming back from dog walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's saying he dropped the speed limit from 156 down to 153.
Well, yeah, I heard him say that too. But you know what? I've seen a couple of different numbers too. I've seen the 156. That's the highest that I've seen. I've seen 152. So I don't know. Maybe
okay.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still stupid speed either way.
She's also trending today, which is interesting. Tina Tintor is trending today. She is the woman that was killed by former Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs. Let's see here. She was in the process of getting her American citizenship, in the process of living the American dream when she was. So now she has been in America since she was 5 years old. Her parents were Serbian, Yugoslavian. Remember back when Bosnia and Kosovo and all that stuff was happening? Well, her parents fled that part of the world and settled in America with their baby, and she was their little baby. And she had lived here her whole life, and she was in the process of getting her citizenship. And yeah, this is not a good story. The young driver killed in the crash involving NFL star Henry Ruggs III was close to getting her U.S. citizenship after escaping war-torn Serbia. Tina Tinter, 23, died in a fireball alongside her golden retriever Max early Tuesday after her Toyota R8 RAV4 was allegedly. Not allegedly. What are you doing allegedly? Why do we still do allegedly? What the hell? Good Lord.
I don't know. It's like, come on.
He'd been speeding in his Chevy Corvette Stingray at 156 miles per hour. This one says 156. Tina's tragic loss has devastated her family beyond a grief they could ever comprehend. Family was everything to Tina, and she was the light of her parents' life. All this stuff. Of course she was. Oh, man. And she loved her 3-year-old pooch, Max, who died alongside her in the firebreak crash. The Serbian-born woman had lived in Las Vegas since she was a baby, which would coincide with the exodus of refugees fleeing the Yugoslav wars. In the hours before her death, Tintor was with her close childhood friend and fellow Serbian Bojana Filapovic. They were walking Max as they usually did late at night before bed. She was just about to get her citizenship. This is just such a sad story. Her family has already filed a lawsuit that was filed this morning. That was breaking earlier, and that's why she's trending. So, Henry Ruggs III, you son of a bitch. I mean, I don't know any other way. So disgusting. So absolutely disgusting. Yeah.
Any details on where he was coming from yet?
I haven't seen that. I have not seen that. Yeah. But, he's a pro football player. He's just out there.
Leave it up to the litigation. They'll have it figured out.
Yeah. State Farm, more Aaron Rodgers football related stuff. State Farm is trending at the moment because they have finally issued a statement regarding Aaron Rodgers. Now, this was interesting. I specifically watched through commercials just to see if there were any State Farm Aaron Rodgers commercials, because during football, every commercial break features an Aaron Rodgers State Farm commercial. Did not see any yesterday. Saw a whole lot of Terry Bradshaw State Farm commercials. Saw a whole lot of the Patrick Mahomes State Farm commercials. Even saw one with just Jake from State Farm alone. But I did not see any of the Aaron Rodgers ones. So at least for yesterday, State Farm has pulled them. State Farm releases statement on Aaron Rodgers partnership. By the way, Aaron Rodgers has lost 2 major sponsors. One is a healthcare sponsorship, Health Med Wisconsin, which apparently he did, spots for up there. They've dropped him, and I don't remember what the other one was, but there were 2. State Farm is the big one. It's at least the high-profile one that we see him featured in all the commercials for. State Farm issued a statement Monday regarding their partnership with Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The statement reads, Aaron Rodgers has been a great ambassador for our company for much of the past decade. We don't support some of the statements that he made, but we respect his right to have his own personal point of view. We recognize our customers, employees, agents, and brand ambassadors come from all walks of life with differing viewpoints on many issues. Our mission at State Farm is to support safer, stronger communities. To that end, we encourage vaccinations, but respect everyone's right to make a choice based on their personal circumstances. Well, that sounds like trying to have both ways, huh?
I was going to say, you're trying to play that right down the middle of the fairway.
What a surprise. What a surprise that an insurance company would have absolutely no balls to take a stake one way or the other. I mean, if they want to just come out and say, we don't think he did anything wrong, say you don't think he did anything wrong. If you think he did something wrong, then drop him. But they want it both ways.
I think it's too early for them to drop him in the process.
Per the Action Network, State Farm ads run on national networks featuring Rodgers. They made up about 25% of all ads the company ran. during week 7 and week 8 of the NFL seasons, according to Apex. Rodgers didn't play in Green Bay's 13-7 loss to Kansas City after testing positive. Okay, we know that. On Saturday, Previa Health, that's it. Previa Health Wisconsin ended its 9-year partnership with Rodgers. What does it mention the other one? No. All right. Well, this comes from Sports Illustrated. Okay.
Yeah, that would be kind of tough if you had a health company and you were kind of had
Right?
your lead sponsor
is anti-science.
It's anti-science.
He's going to Joe Rogan for medical advice. And here's the crazy thing, man. This is something. Aaron Rodgers is a far left progressive guy. He's extremely hippy dippy and extremely liberal. He's engaged to a girl who thinks she's part Wiccan. What's the girl's name? Sounds like a country singer, but she's not. Shalala Balalila. What's her name? It's not Shania Twain, although it sounds like it might be. Shailene Woodley. That's what it is. Shailene Woodley?
I don't know. I just know that he's rung up another one and now he's engaged.
She's a hippy dippy actress who is famous for like not bathing and living in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. And she's just she got him into all of this holistic stuff.
How do you get famous for not bathing? Is what, because you stink or because you don't stink?
I don't know. She tells People Magazine. I don't know. People Magazine's talking to her about a movie, and they notice she's got hair under her arms, and they're like, "What's going on with your hair under?" Yeah, Bill Martin. Aaron Rodgers is far left. He is. He's very progressive. He absolutely is. Sorry. Yeah, I know you can try because you want him on your side for this issue. You can claim that he's libertarian, but no, he's a progressive, and so is the woman that he's in love with. She's incredibly progressive. She's out there with Antifa. Shailene Woodley was criticized last year because she was living in Seattle or whatever, and she was photographed at one of those crazy idiot far left Antifa things or whatever. So say what you will.
Antifa.
Is that it? I don't know. But my point on this is we are seeing something when it comes to the vaccination that the moronic left and the moronic right have way more in common than we ever thought, man. The moronic left is just as anti-science and it's just stupid people in general. Stupid people in general, regardless of what side you decide to go on. Like if you are one of the morons who was storming the Capitol on January 6th, you're not all that different than the morons who are attacking police in Portland. You have the exact same. You guys, if you just erase the politics and who you vote for, you guys could all probably just have a very nice cruise together. Just get on a boat, a little disease-infected boat, and just go and figure out how much you haven't got. It's all of us. It's us in the middle. It's us normal people who either lean a little bit right or a little bit left. We're the ones that are getting squished by these morons on both the far left and the far right. I can't take it anymore. Because we've got to be the majority. We have got to be the fucking majority. The normal people in the middle. I don't care if you vote Republican. I don't care if you vote Democrat. But, you got to at least trust your doctor. Can't that just be a fucking baseline? Can we just admit that we don't know as much as our doctors who went to medical school and who study this shit and who for fun read journals and boring ass garbage while we're watching reruns of Family Guy or whatever the hell else normal people do? But no, the far left, the fucked up crazy far left and the fucked up crazy far right, they both want to destroy this country. Both the far left and the far right do not want America to exist anymore. And then there's the rest of us who are all in the middle. And we're Republican, we're Democrat, we're conservative, we're liberal or progressive. We're all just getting squeezed. We have no, and I'm telling you, we've got to be the majority. There's only like 10% wackadoos on the right. There's got to be only about 10% wackadoos on the left. But for some reason, those of us in the middle are all being forced at Thanksgiving dinner to choose a far right or a far left. Don't you?
Yeah, it does seem like the 10% on either side is just so much more outspoken
Loud morons.
that it just takes over. So I did see in the chat room, someone said that he was coming back from a Top Golf and he had
Henry
19
Ruggs. We're talking
drinks.
about Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs was coming back from a Top Golf
So
and he had 19 drinks in the process, which, let's see, you do the math. Yeah, that would get him 0.2. Oof. Huh.
That's not good. All right. Also trending today. Now, here we go. Here's something for everybody in the middle. Now, I don't know the far. Actually, here's something for everybody. Can't we all just enjoy that royal fart is trending? Royal fart has been trending since last night. Do you know what this is about? Do you know what the royal fart is about?
I'm assuming it has something to do with the royal family.
Oh, silly old Joe. Old Sleepy Joe was apparently having a conversation with Camilla Parker Bowles because they were over there for the climate conference somewhere over there. I don't know. And apparently, while having a conversation with Camilla, Joe let out a like a big long one.
That's not a royal fart. That's a presidential fart.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. It's I don't even here's okay. So let me be honest about this. This story is hysterical. I love this story. I love the idea. I love to conjure the picture of old Joe. My grandpa used to fart all the time. Control it. Is that something that happens once you reach like 70? Where you
No, I would think you can control it.
You just don't give a shit, right?
You just probably don't give a crap.
Yeah, you're like, whatever. But I don't know if look, here's the problem with this story. Although it is awesome, it's all hearsay. It is all. Camilla Parker Bowles hasn't gone in front of the press and said, upon meeting President Biden. No, she didn't. She didn't say anything. She didn't do this. This all comes from what are already well-established, sketchy British tabloids, which are essentially just like, like imagine if in the United States, if the New York Times or in this case, like the London newspaper was just the National Enquirer. That's kind of what British newspapers are. You got the Times of London. That's like the legit one. And then there's like 15 other ones. They have naked ladies on the cover. They have the page 4 girls, which is a thing in England where you open up the newspaper and it's a different topless girl. I mean, they're not hiding it. They ain't trying to educate anybody. They're just putting crap in there, silly crap.
Hoping people will pick it up to look at the naked girls.
I choose, as is my body, my choice, I choose to believe that Joe Biden let out a long ripper right in front of Camilla Parker Bowles.
My.
I do not know that it happened, but I certainly choose to believe that it did. President Biden let out a long, loud fart while speaking with the Duchess of Cornwall at the COP26 summit. Camilla Parker Bowles hasn't stopped talking about it. Here's the quote. She hasn't stopped talking. Of course, she hasn't said anything on the record or said anything. This is all just hearsay. Oh, she hasn't stopped talking about it. Camilla Parker Bowles hasn't stopped talking about it. The 78-year-old's long fart, as has been reported. The pair were making small talk at the global climate change gathering in Scotland last week when the president broke wind. This, according to an informed source who spoke to the Mail on Sunday. That's all. Just a source who no idea, the source's agenda or if the source has any credibility. It's just somebody who told the Mail, the Daily Mail, which, although the Daily Mail was all over the Gabby Petito thing, other than that, they're silly. Their headlines are always about, Premier League soccer players' girlfriends and who they're cheating on them with. You know what I mean? That's like their idea of what news is. It was a long and loud and impossible to ignore, the source told the outlet. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about it. Really? Well, she hasn't tweeted it. She hasn't given a press conference about it. Who are you, Mr. Important, that you're around Camilla Parker Bowles where she's incessantly talking about Joe Biden's farts?
I mean, I would think there's some audio file. You know, like everything around them is like recorded. There's got to be somebody who's got this thing on tape.
Clovis basically cites the old rule: whoever smelt it dealt it. It's probably the source, or Camilla. This could be, maybe it was just embarrassing, and yeah, Camilla got out in front of the story by saying that it was Joe. But no, I choose to believe that it was Joe. Oh, and here's a picture. Oh no, that's from 2005. That's not from this one. Hours earlier, Biden appeared to nod off during opening remarks at the climate change conference. At one point, Biden closed his eyes for 22 seconds before an aide appeared to wake him up. Now, that I saw. That's
a little buzzer.
Hey, you guys wanted to elect an old man. You wanted to get batshit crazy out of there, and you wanted to bring in Grandpa Sleepy Time. This is the state of America. This is what we're dealing with. Here, I'll pull this picture up. Actually, the picture of him sleeping. Where is it? The Royal Fire. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'll share the picture of him. Of course, he's sleeping. He's an old man. He's tired. Life is long. Life is hard. Okay, here we go. All right, here, I'll share this picture. Can you see it? Is it Sharon?
It is small.
Here, I'm going to try and make it bigger. Oh, there's Camilla. Boy, she's no Diana. I'll tell you that. There they are. Look at them. I guess it was long. Look at him. He's like, yeah. Hey, pal, I just farted. There he is. Look at him sleep. Sound asleep. What are you gonna do? He might have his eyes closed. I don't know. Now he's sleeping. He's the leader of the free world sleeping. Shh. I mean, doesn't he know better than to close his eyes for an extended period
I think
of
that's
time?
involuntary. Like, it just kind of happens.
Like he's got narcolepsy. Like he just falls asleep at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, well, he's out of his time element.
Yeah, that is something that, look, I used to watch The West Wing. They used to talk about that all the time, about how it was embarrassing for the president because he'd fall asleep. And that was Martin Sheen. And that was a dude in his late 50s, flying around the globe. Time zones get you all screwed up. Okay, let's see. So it goes on to say Biden could not keep his eyes open while listening to Eddie Ndopu. Oh, God. A disability rights activist who began losing the president as he warned that global warming threatened our ability to grow food and to survive. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can sit through that too, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I could barely make it through An Inconvenient Truth. That was the Al Gore movie. I watched the whole thing, but it was like, oh, God.
It's just kind of boring, all those meetings, like one person after another person after another person. You're just like, oh, please.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right. Oh, and then his Biden's approval rating is in the toilet. Like it's really low in the Drudge report. I'm telling you, Matt Drudge, far right news hound, Matt Drudge, who just hates Trump, which is so weird because Drudge is like one of those people that, you would think would have leaned into the whole Trumpism and MAGA thing. But no. Very early on, Drudge stuck, his flag in this guy's an idiot, which is, kind of my take on the whole thing too. But, I'm not really a Drudge fan, but I do appreciate that. So Biden's approval ratings are the lowest well, here, I'll show you how Drudge.
I think it's the lowest of any president in modern day.
Nope.
No? I thought I saw that they were even lower than Trump.
What you got Fox on it? No, they're not. That's what Drudge is pointing out in his headline here. Biden PDA Sunday poll approval plunges to 38%. And then the next headline, only Trump was lower. Like Drudge is still grinding that axe.
So what was Trump? If he's 38, how low did Trump go?
I thought Trump was 38 too. That's what I remember. I remember him being at 38 and me going, holy crap, man. 62% of the country hates this guy. He's only at 30. And that's the number that a lot of like libs lean into. The 30. Oh, was he 37? Jeff Glenn says Trump dropped to 37. All right. Hey, there's still time, Joe. Joe's got more farts, more meetings to fall asleep in. Let's circle back on this one in about 6 months and see where he's at. It ain't going good. He got his big giant infrastructure bill passed. So people are thinking that might help him, but I don't know. I don't care. I'm so checked out on politics. I can't do it anymore. I can't. All right. So that's why, that's why Fartgate or Royal Fart is trending. Oh man. All right. We're going to slow it down a little bit here. So Astro World is trending again this morning. Yeah. If you've been following that, James and I talked about that.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, it's first lawsuit's been filed. 8 are dead. Many others injured. This happened on Friday evening at Energy Park there in the shadows of the Astrodome down in Houston. Travis Scott is a hip hop guy. I honestly, we were talking.
He's one of the Kardashians' baby daddies.
Right. We were just talking about. I don't know that we mentioned him by name, but on Friday, if you had asked me, is Travis Scott the guy who's dating a Kardashian? Is Travis Scott an NBA player or a hip hop star? I'd have said NBA player because I know the name. I know that it's a name, right, that exists in the American popular culture lexicon. I knew that it's a famous name, but I would have gone NBA player. Like, well, yeah, he probably plays for like the Suns or something, some team that I'm not all that familiar with their lineup, being an Eastern Conference guy myself. But no, turns out he's a hip hop guy, and turns out that my son loves Travis Scott. My son is a big Travis. He gave me a whole, lesson on who Travis Scott was on Saturday. So we were listening to some Travis Scott music Saturday when we were out there at your kid's football game, and I think he's terrible. I think he's, I don't think all hip hop is terrible. I think some hip hop is great. Travis Scott is terrible. Travis Scott is.
Why do you think he's terrible? You just don't like his mixes, or
is that what they are? The music isn't audible. It is all based out. It's like that. And then he just mumbles through an auto tuner. His whole song is, it's terrible. It really is terrible. It's like he's not like Snoop Dogg. He ain't like Puffy. He ain't like,
I thought I had like heard some of it that I recognized, but I don't know.
Apparently his song Sicko Mode is like a big one.
Oh, but yeah, a lot of the people in the NFL play that on the sideline. Yeah. That's like their walk. If they had a walk on, that would be their walk on music.
It's just completely, it's all auto-tuned. I got no respect for that. It's all him singing into something that makes his voice sound like Cher. If you believe in love, I don't like that. I don't give much credit to that. But hey, he drew 50,000 people out to his homecoming concert. He does it, I guess, every year. He's been doing it for a number of years. He's a Houston kid. He does this concert down there. It's always a big deal. People love it. People show up. And on Friday night, apparently a whole bunch of people crashed the gates and then made a mad dash for the stage. And there was just people. Ugh. People were trampled. People were crushed. It was terrible. We had a guy here from Euless, one of the victims, a local Dallas area guy who died saving his fiance. His fiance was being trampled, and he got in there and he picked her up and he rescued her. He got her out of the way, and then he got himself trampled. We had a 9th grader, a little 16-year-old kid. I'll just read you the story. 8 people died during a crowd surge at Travis Scott's Astro World Festival in Houston. The victims ranged in age from 14 to 27. Among them were a 9th grader, a dancer, and 2 best friends. Yeah, the 2 best friends, interestingly enough, were from the Chicago area. They're from Naperville, and they came down. This was a big birthday celebration thing. You're falling asleep. You were out late last night. you can call it, man.
I'm listening. I
Oh,
don't know
man, I
what to say.
appreciate
You keep on going about it. I don't know many of his songs. Like,
Well,
he
this is more about the victims. The ages of the victims who lost their lives range from 14 to 27. The deaths came after people at the Sold Out Festival, which had about 50,000 in attendance, surged toward the main stage while Scott was performing. Witnesses told Insider that it was impossible to breathe as people pushed up to the front, which resulted in panic and fans pleading with the rapper to stop the concert.
Yeah, I heard that he had stopped at certain points, but then when he saw like ambulances or paramedics come, he had started playing again.
Yeah.
And so some of the people, I guess, are upset because he never just stopped. And I don't know that led to any further deaths, though.
Well, we went through this last night. He was terrible. He was absolutely terrible in the way he behaved during the whole thing. The crowd began to chant, "Stop the show, stop the show." And he, because he's a narcissist, he thought that they were just people who were heckling him. So you can hear him on stage going, "Stop the show? Who's saying stop the show? Who? Y'all want me to stop the show? Who wants me to stop the show? Raise your hands if you want me to stop." Like, he just thought it was like another call to keep performing. And then there's another video of him out there where he's on this crane bucket like thing above the crowd. And right underneath him is an emergency vehicle trying to make its way to save people's lives. And instead of him saying, hold on, let's take a break here, hold on, for like a reasonable, responsible human being might do, no, he just told everybody, get rowdy. He was totally ignoring the fact that emergency vehicles were struggling to make their way through the crowd. Anybody else, that's going to be a big deal in these lawsuits. His culpability in how many of these people could have been saved. If he had, promoters are going to, well, I guess he's the promoter. It's his concert. This is his big thing. So I thought he behaved absolutely abhorrently. I just thought, now, the only justification, and James pointed this out last night, is that he's a big druggie. He might have been completely out of his mind on drugs and not really aware of what's going on. And then there were other people who climbed up on stage and were screaming at the cameramen and the people on the stage and stage security that people are dying right here. Stop the show. Get help for them. And those people were just thrown off the stage by security. Like, it was a cluster F, man.
It's kind of one of those crazy things where, like, okay, you come on stage, because you come on stage, people are so crazy. They start this rush to the stage. And then maybe do you think, okay, if you stop playing, you're going to create yet another panic and they're going to go rush the other way?
Well, it's a concern, but you don't have to rally them up. You can stop and settle it down for a minute and say, hold on. We're going to take a break. I'll be right back. You can just say, you're not going to say, I quit and storm off. Then you might have a problem. That's like a Guns N' Roses moment. Where it's like, what do you mean the show's over? But if you were a responsible performer who actually cared about your audience, you might say, all right, folks, let's put the lights up, put all the lights or whatever. They can do that. They got lighting guys, put the lights up. Everybody make a path. Let these ambulances through. Ambulances were just completely surrounded by tens of thousands of people who were not moving. He could have parted that. He could have been a hero. But instead, and then you got Kylie Jenner, who was there. It's her boy. Kylie Jenner posing for Instagram pictures in front of ambulances. Do these people have
bad.
These people have no fucking shame. Do they have no understanding of what? No, they don't. Obviously, they don't understand that not everything is a reality show or Instagram moment. Ridiculous.
Well, she's going to get to see that Instagram post, I'm sure. In one of these lawsuits.
Let's see. People yelling, stop the show, and then emergency vehicles in the crowd, and this dipshit couldn't do the math. Yeah, exactly. He couldn't. Come on, man. I don't know what you think is happening. All right. So that's why Astro World, that's a real tragedy, boy. 14, looking at these pictures of these kids.
How do you prevent this, though, in the future? I don't
know.
Assigned
seating. assigned seating, and maybe you don't make $4 million for the show. Maybe you only make $3 million for the show, and you take that extra million and you put it into some really hardcore security and some real safety precautions.
I don't know though that any security or any type of restraining system can stop that many humans when they start pushing.
Assigned seating can,
Well, yeah. So no more floor
entrance,
no more general admission. I mean, when I was at the factory last night, they started like a mini mosh pit inside the floor, and I was watching that and going, wow, how many people are going to go home tomorrow like, what the hell happened? My shoulder, my ribs, my head, my teeth, and just watching that start, at a Toadies concert with people that are 30 to 40, I just don't know that you're ever going to be able to stop a mob of people like that. I mean, remember it happened back in Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah, that was 11 at a Who concert.
Right, at a Who concert in Cincinnati. Like, that was the first one that I remember. And it's just when you have that many people just unrestrained, I mean, anything can happen.
Well, that Who concert was general admission seating, and I believe that was the end of general admission seating in almost every venue in America. But in the last couple of years, it seems like general admission seating is coming back. Like, I mean, there was a concert, maybe it's just Texas, because America and freedom and all that, you can't tell people they can't.
Well, the Stones in Austin is general admission in two areas.
I think it's a Texas thing, but Stones, I wouldn't be too worried about. Stones fans.
Well, I mean, Starplex, they got a lawn.
Right. But
I think maybe GA close to the stage.
Yes, because
is probably a bad idea.
And that's how people die. They get crushed on the stage. The people in the front row, 30,000 people start pushing forward. You're a little 17-year-old girl in the front row on her boyfriend's shoulders. Your boyfriend and you are going to get crushed.
Yeah, and then God forbid if you hit the floor. Oh.
Well, that people were trampled. That's what happens. During this crush, if someone goes down, you got to pick the person up. But that's not what happened. Panic ensues, and that person gets stuck. I bailed out of the story. I was reading the story. I bailed out of it. There are some descriptions of how some of the people died that is just almost all the ultimate causes of death were cardiac arrest, but cardiac arrest due to grave bodily injury, meaning their hearts finally stopped after their bones had been broken and their spine was severed and all of that stuff. Then their heart stopped. So the actual cause of death was cardiac arrest because you couldn't get to them in time.
Yeah, that's awful.
James asked that last night. Why? What are they all dying of heart attacks for? I'm like, dude, because when your body takes that much damage, the last thing to go that really seals your fate. I mean, you could have your brain blown off and you're still alive. Your brain dead, but your heart's it's the heart. Once the heart goes, that's it. You're done. And the last thing to give up is the heart in these situations where it's just grave bodily injury. I mean, you can be alive with a severed spine and broken legs, broken ribs, broken head, crushed skull, lacerated internal bleeding and all that. You're still alive, but as soon as the heart stops pumping, boom, cardiac arrest, cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we got? Boy, that's a rough one. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay. Oh, I love this one. This is really funny. Okay, this will be a little bit oh God, as I say, this one will be a little bit lighter. It also has a tendency to be a little bit divisive, but I don't mean it to be divisive. Can't we all just be in the middle? Can't we all just be in the middle and laugh at this stuff? None of us should be on the far left or the far right. Let's just all be in the gray middle where we still appreciate funny. Okay. All right, good. So Saturday Night Live over the weekend, Saturday Night Live is trending along with James Austin Johnson, and New Trump is trending. Saturday Night Live has a new guy doing a Trump impression for their sketches, and he is awesome. Have you seen this guy yet? He is so funny.
I have not. You can't put it up.
I do. I'll let you see it. Now, unlike Alec Baldwin, which I never thought was that funny, I just thought, it was interesting that you have an actor, an A-list famous actor doing this on Saturday. That was interesting. But he didn't do the voice, and he didn't really, and it's kind of mean. Alec Baldwin was obvious. We know Alec Baldwin's politics, so we knew that it was mean. This new guy, James Austin Johnson, full disclosure, I knew about him. I knew about him for the last year or two because he has been doing his Trump imitations on Twitter for the last couple of years.
Right.
My friend Kevin, there he is. Yeah, Kevin, my man James. My friend Kevin is the guy who first introduced me to him through his Twitter feed. So I started following him. Very funny. And he's brand new on Saturday Night Live this year. And he's only a featured performer. Meaning, he's not one of the main cast members. It's after they introduce the main cast, and then they go, and featuring, and then it's like a bunch of people who you hardly ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a couple of years, they'll be in the main cast, but you hardly ever. This dude is a featured performer who gets more screen time on Saturday Night Live than just about anybody else on the show. I mean, I shit you not just for Trump. He has been getting screen time he is he's like Daryl Hammond. Remember how Daryl Hammond could do all the voices and all the imitations and all the celebrity stuff?
Right.
He's the new Daryl Hammond. And I'm telling you, he is going to be the breakout star of SNL this year. You want to see his Trump?
Sure.
It's really funny. I'm sorry. Come on. Even you Trump people have to laugh. You have to appreciate how funny this is. Let me make sure I get it for you. So basically the bit here is there it is. Okay. The bit here is how Trump can start talking about one thing, like there's one subject at hand, and then he'll just chase rabbits, and talk about 50 other things, and then somehow bring it back to the original topic. And that's what this guy does so masterfully. So here, let's check this out. Let me make sure we get it.
Helen, who helped me win in
president. Here you go. I don't want you to see the whole thing. The whole bit is like 4 minutes. We don't need it. We just need the Trump bit. The setup for the bit is that they're interviewing. It's Judge Jeannie Pirro. Am I saying her name right?
Jeanine Shapiro.
Yeah, whatever it is. She's interviewing Glenn Youngkin, the new governor of Virginia. And Glenn Youngkin is trying to avoid being associated with Donald Trump, right? Glenn, because they say, he ran, he distanced himself from Trump. He didn't invite Trump to make any speeches for him. And even though the Trump group was like, hey, Trump will come and make a speech. He's like, no. He's like, no, I'll do this alone. I don't need that. So that's the premise of the bit. He's on this Jeanine Pirro show, and he's trying to distance himself from being associated with Donald Trump. So here, this is the bit. Here we go. All right. We'll start it right here. All right. Here you go. This is James Austin Johnson, the new Trump. So that's the new Trump guy on Saturday Night Live. I find him to be really funny. It's not only that he has the voice, but he's got all of the he's got all of these sort of mannerisms in the mannerisms of the voice. You know what I mean? It's like, it just sound like he's the cadence. He's got it all down. He's very funny. That guy is very funny. So there you have it. That's why multiple things on that thread are trending. SNL, new Trump, and James Austin Johnson. Hard name to remember though. James Austin Johnson. I can't keep that that name in my head. All right. What else do we have here? Oh man, there's nothing else. There's other things that we can talk about, but after that, like Josh Howley, senator from, I don't know. He's one of them. He's a senator. He's one of them embattled senators. He gave an interview to Axios, HBO's Axios, where he claims masculinity is dead, and that he is this guy. He wants to be president. Just this Howley dude wants to be president in a couple of years or whatever. And one of his big things that he's running on now is that men are no longer masculine because all they do is look at porn and play video games and get marginalized by the left. That's so that's what he's running for president on.
Video games, there's this problem.
Porn, video games, and being picked on by people from the. Oh, okay. Since we're into it, why not? I'll bring it up. I got to be honest with you too. I'm not completely. I watched the interview this morning, and I don't agree with Senator Josh Howley on much, but I do. If you sift through all of the reactionary culture wars bullshit, he does kind of have a point. And that point is, you're not allowed to be masculine anymore. You're not allowed to be like. Do you ever feel? You know what? I'm just going to read it. We'll go into it afterwards. All right. Senator Josh Howley, Republican from Missouri, told Axios on HBO that he'll make masculinity a signature political issue because he claims the left is telling men, you're part of the problem. Your masculinity is inherently problematic. Now, okay. So again, sift through all of the political nonsense and the culture.
Your masculinity or your lack of masculinity.
That's the thing. See, I make a distinction between masculine and toxic masculinity, right? And so this guy is just trying to make the tent bigger by getting all the guys, by not drawing a distinction between there is toxic masculinity. That's a real thing. And every dude hates a dude that's overly macho, right? The guy that just tries too hard. We know these kinds of guys. My wife's not going to have a job. That it's like that whole attitude, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Right.
So that is a problem. And that is not necessarily due to someone's gender. It's not because they're a male. It's not because they're overly manly. It's because their head is just in a different era. You can still be masculine. I see guys like Aaron Rodgers running around with the man bun, and it's like, Aaron Rodgers is probably checking a lot of boxes in the old masculinity scorecard, right? Hot girlfriends. He's a great athlete. He's big. He's in shape. But then he runs around with like a man bun looking like a fruit cup. And I just,
looking like a fruit cup.
Well, he does. I hate that look.
I haven't heard that fruit cup saying, man, your grandpa said that.
Probably. Why it matters. As an ambitious Republican frequently mentioned as a possible future candidate for president or vice president, Howley is using American masculinity to appeal to suburban parents and to working men won over by Donald Trump. As conservatives, we've got to call men back to responsibility, Howley said. We've got to say that spending your time not working, spending your time on video games, spending your time watching porn is not good for you, your family, or this country. Well, I don't think that anybody would disagree with that, right? I mean, I think that if you're spending all your days playing video games and, watching porn, that ain't good.
Yeah, he didn't really step out there.
No, that's like who's going to disagree with that, As Howley raised the issue on October 31st as a keynote speaker. Blah, blah, blah. Can we be surprised, he asked, that after years of being told that their manhood is the problem, more and more men are withdrawing into the enclave of idleness and pornography and video games? So what he's trying to draw a correlation between is men getting in trouble for sexually harassing women in the workplace. Instead, right. Because they can't sexually harass in the workplace anymore, they're now being driven into this world of video gaming and pornography watching. So
it doesn't really work.
No, he's a smart guy, and he's smart enough to know that most people aren't smart, and so he's just trying to gin up the dummies is basically what his whole base is. He wants to gin up the dummies and the non-thinkers. You don't grab a girl's ass in the office because you don't grab a girl's ass in the office. It doesn't make you less of a man or less masculine because you can no longer grab a girl's ass in the office. Right? How the fuck is this guy defining masculinity? But that's really what this is all about. This is obviously, there's the whole thing with the gender fluidity, which, a man of my age, I don't have a problem with it. I struggle to understand it. That's all. And there's a big difference, folks. Big difference between having a problem with something. I got a problem with that. And just going, I have to have somebody explain that one to me. See, there's a big difference between those two emotional reactions. And he's just trying to conflate them all. He's just trying to, if you can't be a man grabbing ass and, knocking your wife around. I mean, what exactly is he trying to get to here? He's trying to be a modern day music man, Bill Falk says. Yeah, that's a great reference.
Well, like 1950s, 60s culture, I guess.
I think you put together lack of jobs, you put together fatherlessness, you put together the social messages that we teach our kids in school. I don't know, what are we teaching our kids in school? Look, I'm telling you, I got a 12-year-old son. He's not a delicate flower. I mean, he's 100% boy. You know what I mean? I mean, if we're worried about him turning into some kind of a genderless namby-pamby, I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it as being a problem with my kid. My kid is very, he's a boy. He's very much a boy. He likes girls. He's slightly obsessed with girls now, he brags. He's a narcissist. He's all the things that little boys are, Come on, you want some of this, bro? He's very much into that.
Right.
That's his default setting, to challenge you to wanting some of this or whatever this is. So I don't know what he's being taught in school, but it isn't a problem. As a matter of fact, my 12-year-old, we might want to tone down a little bit of his toxic masculinity. We might want to. But my kid also knows that gay people exist, and he's totally cool with it. He has a friend who is gay. That blew my mind. I think I talked about that a couple of weeks ago when I asked him flat out. I said, "Hey, do you have any kids who are trans in your school?" And he said, No, I don't think so. And I said, what about gay? You got any gay kids in your school? And he's like, oh yeah, a lot of them. I was like, and then I had to ask further. I'm like how I had gay kids in my school in the 1980s, where just anybody who I didn't like was, that dude's gay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. He's like, no, they're like boys that date boys. And I'm like, you're in middle school. I go, that's a thing, huh? And you know what he said? He goes, well, I mean, I got a girlfriend. I go, if you're gay, why can't you have a boyfriend? And I'm like, okay. All right. And this is still the kid that's like, come at me, bro. Come on, bro. So I'm not worried about him being accepting of alternative lifestyles that maybe you and I, when we were his age, weren't all that accepting of. I don't think that that's any sort of degradation against his masculinity. He's still a masculine little boy.
Yeah, but when we were in
cool with gay people,
school, gay was kind of just also a phrase. It wasn't only a lifestyle.
Right. And we put no thought into it. Like when we were on playground gay is what we used to call it. Would you shut your mouth, you homo? It's like
playground gay. That's a good way of explaining it.
I always go back to a friend of mine, and I'll never forget this. I think about this as a grown-up because I just think it's so funny, and it's such a great example of playground gay, of how we use that word. His mom and his dad were in the kitchen, and they were kissing, and they were being really loving, like a nice, happy mom and dad, like kissing each other. And I remember Jim going, Mom and Dad, stop being gay. Even at the time, I thought, well, that seems to be the opposite of being gay.
Right.
But that's how we use that phrase. And thoughtlessly, we used it because unknowingly, we were still using it as a pejorative. We were still suggesting, we were putting a suggestion out there that lifestyle choice was somehow lesser than. You know what I mean? Even though we didn't need it.
When you asked him if like any kids are trans, I wonder if he gets that.
No, he does. Absolutely, he does.
Okay.
He knows exactly what it is. But he says that he knows a couple of girls who are lesbian, and a kid that sits next to him who he likes. He called him my friend. He said he's gay. So and that is far more advanced than I was at 12 years old. At 12 years old in 83, 82, whatever it would have been. If you were gay, boy, you would have had to change schools. I mean, if you were caught kissing another boy at 12 years old in the early 80s, right? I mean, that wasn't something that was.
You weren't out.
No, you weren't. You weren't. And you would chase that kid home and you'd pick on him and you'd call him names and you'd be mean to him. You might even beat him up. I mean, that was a thing. And you didn't believe you were doing anything wrong because the accepted behavior of a heterosexual young boy towards a gay person was that they were evil. I mean, that we've really changed. I mean, you can't. Oh, Pugs, really? You were like that? Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I never gay bashed or anything like that. But I mean,
kids were awful back
kids
then.
Were
the gay
awful.
kids.
Kids need to learn. Kids need to spend their life learning and experiencing new things. I didn't become completely comfortable with being around gay people until I was in college and I went to an art school, and people that I really liked turned out were gay. You know, like my partner, we made this cool ass video in my broadcasting tech class it's where I learned how to use cameras and, you know, like make little this is all like 1990 stuff. So the technology is everything I learned in college became obsolete 5 years later with the start of digital and computers and all that. But yeah, I remember that dude was gay. I remember he used to talk about his boyfriend and stuff. And I said, shut up, man. Stop talking. But I liked him, you know, like we were friends. Like if somebody had come up and started jacking with him at that time, I'd have been like, leave him alone. You know, I'd have been on his side. And that was probably 18, 19 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that's right about college. You get out. I got out of high school at 18. So 19.
I remember one of our friends, me, my friend Tom, and my friend Eric, we were at a party somewhere. And I mean, we were best friends. And I remember one of them, I won't give out a name, but one of us, okay, obviously not me, but one of us made the statement that, well, if it turned out that you were gay, I'd never talk to you again. And the other two of us looked at each other and were like, really? Really? I mean, this is like 1992. You know, this is like, we're like, really? Boy, you wouldn't even have to think about it. Nope. If you were gay, we couldn't be friends anymore. And, you know, that was 6 years before 1998. You want to talk about how far we have come in this regard? 1998, Ellen DeGeneres was kicked off TV for coming out as homosexual. She lost her sitcom, The Ellen Show, because she came out as homosexual and everybody was like, oh, the advertisers won't support that. 10 years later, she is the most beloved television personality in daytime. I mean, that you really want to track the way the country changed and evolved on the issue of being a homosexual. Begins and it ends with Ellen. Begins with her sitcom where she was kicked off the air for being gay, and it ends with her being as big as Oprah, you know, doing her daytime talk show. So back to the Josh Howley thing. Just because we're evolving as human beings and we're becoming better to one another and understanding the complications of life doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that we're losing our masculinity. Doesn't mean that we're becoming fruity or whatever. But that's what he's trying to put out there. He's trying to create that because of the way the world has changed and evolved and the way they see certain issues, it's indicative of us no longer being men. It's one of those
see, I don't like, I know there are a lot of people at the church that think that we are not evolving. They think that it's almost the devil is evolving. And if you are part of the church and you're sitting by watching this happen, that you need to now start speaking up and start saying, no, I'm not going to refer to you as she if you're a he, but I will call you your name. They want you to, in a Christian way,
be an asshole. Be an asshole in a Christian way. Do not
no, in a Christian way. They want you to let that person know that because of your beliefs, you are unable to refer to them as a she if they're a he, or a he if they're a she. You are unable to.
Is that what Jesus would do? If Jesus was down here walking with us, Jesus hung out with a lot of dirtbags.
Well, and that's actually because it's funny that we're on this topic today, because yesterday at church, that was part of the sermon. You know, they want you to treat like the preacher was saying, hey, you know, God, you know, hung out with prostitutes. God hung out with people that were
gay.
You know, gay. God hung out with people that, you know, were
society
tax collectors, like people that, you know, and so they want you to think about not shunning them away, but sharing God's way with that person and hoping that they'll understand that
so
you're
God
not.
Fucked up? That's what I would say. I would say, what do you mean God's way? So God fucked up? I thought God created all of it. God made some trash? Is that what you're saying? God sometimes takes a day off and phones it in? Well, how did this happen? Aren't these God's creatures?
Well, I mean,
we shouldn't get into this because, you know, this is just going to be.
Well,
go ahead. You can say your piece.
No, it's not really my piece at all. I'm just kind of repeating what I heard yesterday, and I was kind of listening to it and going, so you're not being disrespectful to the person by not referring to them as a she if they're a he, or a he if they're a she. You're essentially not losing your own credibility.
But isn't it up to them to decide whether they're being disrespected or not? That's not the person who is doing the disrespecting does not get to decide if I'm being disrespectful or not. It's about the individual. Look,
you say to them, I'll refer to you as your name. Like John, I'll call you John, but I'm not going to refer to you as.
Hey, Church of Pugs, just be cool. Just be nice to people. You don't have to hang out with them. You don't have to break bread with them, but just be nice to them. Just respect them and be cool with them. Doesn't mean you got to hang out with them. You're not endorsing their lifestyle. Just be freaking nice to people. That's all. Don't act like you know more because of the word that you've. Stop it. Stop the proselytizing. Jesus wasn't big on proselytizing, so just stop it. If they're in your church, that's great. Then they already believe what you believe. But outside of that, stop it. Just be nice. Just be nice. Let people merge in front of you. Wave to them in the mirror. Be a good person. That's all. That's what Jesus would want. Jesus was a cool dude, a really cool dude.
I'm not saying that I'm not on your side. I'm just
no. I know who you are.
I'm trying to play the other. I'm trying to play the other.
For crying out loud, you're incredibly open. You're incredibly.
I'm trying to play the other side here.
Of course you are.
And so it's almost like they're educating people at church now by taking what you're suggesting is your approach. Just be cool. You can't take that passive approach, because if you do, that's what's allowing this to just get more crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier.
So let me ask you something. So all the women that go to that church that you go to, and I'm familiar with the church you go to, so all them women, they're letting gay dudes put their hands in their hair, their little demon hands and all that. Well, what's going to happen? I mean, why is that?
Well, they believe ultimately it's a choice. They still don't believe, you know.
Okay. That's disrespectful, but okay.
So I don't like, and they think like, okay, if you have children and those children are going into a transgender bathroom, that if a transgender person comes into that bathroom,
this is such a small issue.
You need to.
I hate this issue. I've never been in a bathroom when a transgender person has walked in a dress. That's not happened to me. But boy, I'll tell you.
But if somebody does,
Christian evangelicals, it sounds like it happens all the time. I want to know what bathrooms.
Well, they believe it's a form of pornography that's going on in that bathroom.
Okay.
And that your children are being exposed to that.
My children.
Well,
they believe you're saying a whole bunch of shit that really isn't ecumenical at all.
Well, a straight child that's subjected to a transgender person in that bathroom that is not necessarily that transgender person's normal.
Why just the bathroom? What about like walking in the mall? What about like we saw a transgendered person on the Katy Trail. Kid didn't even mention it. He didn't even. And guess what? My kid didn't get molested. He didn't get dragged into the bushes. I mean, what really are they saying? What's going to happen in the bathroom?
Well, for safety reasons, they believe that you should instruct your child to leave that bathroom.
Safety for the child's safety?
Yes.
Because why?
Because there's a transgender. I mean, to me, it's
So
almost getting
people
back
are
to
violent molesters. That's what we're getting to, right? Let's cut through the bullshit.
Yeah,
Let's
I mean,
cut through the
it's
bullshit.
almost back to the day. It does feel like back when, if
Mhm.
you were a gay person, that they thought that you couldn't be around kids
Right.
because you would molest them.
My son's favorite teacher is gay. In North Texas, openly gay, not a problem.
Yeah, my son's math tutor, openly gay.
There you go, not a problem in Texas. So why is it made to be like it's a huge problem? You know what I mean? I always laugh at the transgender bathroom thing. Is this really an epidemic? Is this really a problem? And why can't my kid
it's a
be in the
problem
bathroom
that we have allowed, like the Christian people believe it's a problem that we've allowed that to happen. And it's because you haven't stood up, or they have not stood up for a while now,
Jesus.
that all this wave of
and this is
crazy is now getting more and more public.
my problem with Christians. MYOB. Mind your own business. God love you. I'm happy that you have your own faith. Whatever crutch you need to make it through your daily life, have at it. I applaud you for it. We all need something. Life is a bitch. But as soon as this shit starts to as soon as you start to use it as a hammer against other people who are just minding their own business, doing whatever they got to do to get through this world, then that's just awful.
See, they don't see it as using it as a hammer against other people. They see it as the other people using it as a hammer against their beliefs. And
wow, they're so sensitive, huh? They can't take it. Toughen
this
up.
changing in a way is occurring because Christians are not standing up and speaking out.
They also don't like brown people coming over the borders. They also don't. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they don't like. They're afraid of a lot of stuff. A lot of shit spoken them. I just want us to be nice to one another. And I know that my retort, me playing the role that I'm playing, as you sit here and very articulately express the points of view of your church, is maybe coming off as a bit jerky.
No.
I'm doing it on purpose. Well, but I'm doing it on purpose.
I don't think you're coming across as jerky. I mean, I sit there and I struggle,
because you're a thinker and you're a decent person.
Thought of, okay, how are we? It's almost like they don't want you to condone that behavior.
This all seems very judgy.
Because by condoning it, essentially you're saying to your fellow man or your brother or your sister, hey, I'm cool with you living in sin, whereas I'm not really being a good friend to you.
Oh God.
I would be a better friend to you if I said, hey, no, I'm not cool with that.
This is a one-sided friendship. You're the only one that thinks we're friends. You know, I mean, that's how this is. I would not be a good friend. No, that's fine. Be a bad friend. This is very judgy, man. This is very dipping your beak in other people's wells. This is very, I thought Jesus wasn't about the judgy, you know? I mean, look, I know a lot about Jesus. I went to Catholic school. I was raised Catholic. Jesus was a cool dude. He would not like these people.
What they compared it to, and I thought this was interesting. It was like, imagine yourself going to an AA meeting and the people at the AA meeting wouldn't speak up and tell you not to drink. Now,
that is such a stupid analogy.
Change that to
dumb person analogy.
Change that to a sexual addiction. Okay.
But you can't. It's apples and oranges. They're two completely different things.
Well, they believe it's an addiction. It's not necessarily
and they're wrong.
Choice.
Yeah, and they're wrong. So that's the jumping off. That's where the disconnect happens. That their contention is wrong, and they refuse to admit based on it. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this because I really just want to get along with everybody. But I don't like the judgments. You don't have to condone it. You don't have to even like them. I don't even give a shit if you like these people. What I give a shit about is when you start preaching to them about how they're going. What is the great quote that you see? I believe in your right. Someone, I believe in your right to believe what you believe. But as soon as you start telling me, whatever, you get where I'm going with that. It's like, shut your mouth. You can believe that. That's fine. But everyone doesn't have to believe what you believe. That's what this world is. It's a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of crazy ideas trying to not bump into each other. That's all. Don't bump into each other. Be nice. Ignore them. You don't like a gay dude? Ignore him. And if you're going to tell me, I don't want my daughter in a bathroom when a tranny comes in, that's not happening. Stop making that a big deal. That maybe happens one in every 1 billion bathroom visits. I mean, that is not something that is going on to the point where you need to make it the number one point of your problem with society. It's ridiculous.
And the response to that would be, well, then if that is happening that oddly, why does every bathroom then have to be transgender friendly?
Because people who are transgender are people. And this is a country that acknowledges the rights of all people. So that's why. You don't want that. You don't like America. That's it. You do not like what America is. You like what you think America is or what you want America to be based on a bunch of John fucking Wayne movies you saw once. But that is not what Jefferson and the founding fathers put down in the United States Constitution. People do not know what is in the United States Constitution. They want a different country. They don't love America. They love this repressive, thoughtless, reductive world that is preached. They don't even understand separation of church and state.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
my response to that was, well, think about the number of handicap bathrooms that are there, and think about the number of handicap parking spaces that are there.
That's, what? Next time I see a handicapped person, I'm just gonna ask them, what's with the choice? Why are you choosing to have your legs blown off in war? Why are you choosing to be born there? That's how ridiculous the other side sounds. That to me, it just sounds absolutely the same thing. Like,
right, but I'm saying the number of people that are handicapped relative to the number of bathrooms that are handicap accessible, the number of parking spaces that are handicap accessible. I mean, it goes more to your point of,
I agree with you.
Everybody has a right. Therefore, we don't know where that person is going to be. And if we don't have those types of facilities everywhere, then those persons are not going to be afforded their opportunity to participate in lots of things. I mean, I think, ADA is probably one of the more expensive things in
the American Disabilities Act.
Yeah, in construction, having to constantly figure out, how am I going to make this accessible for a handicapped person? In retrofitting old construction is some of the more expensive parts of it, and a lot of times why it doesn't occur, because you can't do it economically, so you just forego that spot and you go to a brand new spot because they can rebuild the bathrooms to be ADA compliant. They can do the walkways and the parking and things like that, where back before ADA was mandatory, people got away with it with a lot smaller bathrooms, with a lot smaller walkways, with different ins and outs, not, wheelchair friendly. And so I just think that people today now are going, well, okay, so now every bathroom's got to have a transgender. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's tough.
Do they though? Does every bathroom, is that a thing? Does every bathroom have to? I mean, I don't know. Look, here's what we.
Well, not every bathroom, but you have to have access for somebody that's transgender, and if you don't, then they're allowed to go in the other bathroom.
I think that there are far too many handicap parking spots. We'll agree on that one. There are the run of the mill everyday grocery store has way too many handicap, and they're never always full. It's like, what are we doing here? Are we expecting a great war to happen? Are we prepared for the next group of disabled veterans to come back. Because if you go to a grocery store, there's like 50 handicap spots.
It's all a metric, though. Number of people, capacity of the building.
Well, yeah, I'm certain somebody thought it through. They're not just, willy-nilly going. It's probably based on percentages of society, and I don't know. I just feel bad for people who are actively out there making life rougher on other people. For why? Because of something that they believe, something that they think is true, that not all of us are required to subscribe to.
All right, so I'm going to try the other side of the argument here. Instead of referring to them by the pronoun, why would it be wrong to just refer to them by their name?
Oh, we're a little bit earlier. I misread the clock. I thought it said 58. It says 54. All right, ask that question again.
Instead of referring to them by the pronoun, which a lot of people now are wanting to be referred to, they.
Yeah. Okay. So I was born a guy. Now I'm a girl. Don't call me she. Don't call me him. Call me by my preferred pronoun.
Right.
Okay. So
instead of referring to the person by that, which a church that I'm aware of sees as not something that they want their members to condone to, they say refer to them by their name. What is wrong with referring to them by their birth name?
I don't know. They may not like it. They may not like it, and now you're doing something that another person doesn't like. Why? Because it makes you feel better. So fuck them. Fuck what they. I mean, it's just about being respectful to strangers, people you don't. Now, I'll tell you, I struggle with the whole they, them, him, her. I struggle with that. But you know what else I struggle with? The countless updates to my phone. As you get older, life changes. We are confronted by new, difficult things that we just have to get used to. That's just one of them. To turn it into something more than what it is, and how often is this a problem? How many of the people in your church who are listening to this have to confront this issue on a daily basis? I'm a pretty open guy with friends from all different walks of life, and I can tell you I have never been confronted with that situation. I have never. Now, you said you know an artist who is trans. And
right.
So that was, so all right. So give me 15 other instances in all your years where you've struggled in that situation. See what I'm saying? It's not.
No, I think you run across it more.
It's because the world is changing and they don't like it. That's really all it is. The world is changing and it's difficult for them, just like the new updates to my damn phone. That's
well, and I think the art world is more prone to it than a lot of other industries for whatever reason.
It's all about lazy-mindedness.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I do think that there in the arts, there are more people that are gay than say in construction.
Yeah. Although probably not. More open in the arts.
More open, I guess, more free to express themselves.
I believe there was a construction worker in the Village People. Don't remember an artist in the Village People. I do remember a construction worker. And a cop. And I just don't understand why we just can't be
Indian.
Just be cool. Just do what Jesus would do. Just love everybody, because God doesn't make mistakes. I don't even believe in God, and listen to the bullshit that I'm throwing out there just to placate the people who do. I mean, if your God is infallible, then what's he doing? He fucked up with a whole lot of people? I mean, how is that explained?
You're getting me to explain something that I'm not capable of explaining. I don't know. I mean, I ask those same questions.
Yeah, I know.
And I guess, people in the church just want, the people that want to believe that it's a choice, or maybe don't think it's a choice, but they think that God did make them that way. They then think that in order for them to get to the other side, to heaven, they can't fall to that temptation.
Okay, well,
and that's a heck of a challenge.
It's almost like they're mentally disabled. Seriously, it is like, to me, hearing someone rationalize the mistreatment of other strangers using that's like a mental disability. It's like, that's unfortunate that you just.
I think it would be an interesting show if we
Mhm.
did get somebody from a church to explain this to us?
Okay, I would totally be up for that. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I wanted to do a podcast called The Seeker, where every episode is just somebody from a different religion and they try and convince me that their religion is right. I thought that would be an interesting podcast because I'm a seeker. I was raised Catholic. Um, uh, I love the pomp and circumstance of Catholicism. You know, I love the whole midnight mass and the tall hats and the robes and
The incense.
the incense and the churches are so cool. They're gothic and medieval, and there's and then I don't like carpeted churches. Like you probably go to a church that is carpeting, like in the hallways and stuff. No. So you got to have like hallways that like echo when you walk down them because they're stone floors or whatever. But that's because I was raised Catholic. And yesterday, I certainly walked away from my Catholic religion. I am a lapsed Catholic. That's how I would describe myself. I'm culturally Catholic. I enjoy the holidays. I enjoy being a part of the club when it suits me. But I don't know what I am. I of all the religions that I've looked into in my life, I think Buddhism is probably the one that if I ever in a few years decide on a religion, it'll probably be Buddhism. That'll be the one that my kid also likes Buddhism. My kid had a teacher that was Buddhist, and he was like, my kid yesterday, you guys were gone. And he's like, where do they go? And I go, dude, it's Sunday. They go to church. And he's like, I want to go to church. I go, really? You do? And he goes, wait, not like every Sunday. I go, well, see, that's the catch.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that sermon from yesterday is probably out on their website. We could probably clip the parts and play those, and then we could get you.
We don't want to do that because it's your church. These are people.
No, I don't care.
Yeah, but
I'm actually supposed to be.
You're the bad one. You're the one they're all working on. You got the
right,
devil.
Right, yeah. I'm the one they're working on, but I'm actually supposed to be like furthering this discussion, and I'm supposed to be bringing it out into the light. Now, if I don't necessarily agree with their thought process, that's for me to deal with, or them to deal with me. But it is interesting to watch that. It's very low. Can't hear it.
I know. Jeff Glenn says Buddha wasn't a Christian, but Jesus would have made a good Buddhist. Yes, he would have. Yes, and that's kind of how I came to the whole idea of Buddhism, because I really dug Jesus. I thought Jesus, of all the shit that Jesus was about and that he's supposedly said, if all that stuff's true, I love that guy. And then there was the correlation to the way the modern day Buddhist lives his life. It's very Christ-like. It's very in the true meaning of Christ, the loving of everyone, the acceptance, the, putting out the good energy. Jesus would have put out a lot of good energy, right?
For sure.
I mean, he lost his shit with the money lenders, but everybody's allowed to lose their shit every once in a while. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. And that's it. No pillow talk tonight. So
really, what happened?
Yeah, you weren't signing when we talked about it last night. Mason and I are going to watch the Bears game on FaceTime.
Yeah,
Monday Night Football. And we're not, like I said, we're not going to do this for all football games anymore. But on certain games, Bears, Cowboys, Bills, as we said, games that directly affect the people associated with the show, they only play 16 a week, right? The big football games for fans are a big deal. So bear with us, and we'll be back tomorrow at high noon, and hope you understand. All right, thank you, E. There he goes. There's E. Sunglasses. Here's John Hinckley taking us out as he always does. I'm Pugs. This has been High Noon with Pugs and Company on the Radio Misfits Network. Bye, everybody.